everyone, welcome back. Today I want to share something that I found extremely interesting, and it came out of Sibos and has everything to do with what Visa have announced, and that is that they're going to utilize stablecoins, cryptocurrencies, to help with global remittances, cross-border payments. And with their solution of using stablecoins to essentially pre-fund accounts, they do alleviate some of the problems that you face when doing international payments. However, what they don't do is essentially solve the problem of pre-funding accounts, which XRP is unbelievably well positioned. In fact, it's the only crypto project positioned to fundamentally change how globally money moves around the world in regards to providing a world reserve bridge asset that they have a patent on using a cryptocurrency, which I'm going to show you in this one, as a bridge asset to do global remittances, You actually have a patent that essentially says or gives them the right to be the only company that can use, to my understanding, we'll look at the patent, a crypto to actually act as an intermediary between two currencies and act as that bridge asset. What we find, even though companies are adopting crypto for remittances, they're really not solving the underlying problem that XRP is perfectly positioned to address. So this video should get you very bullish. Let's kick things off with what Visa has to say at Sibos. They're doing great things and they're definitely innovating for sure. They're saving time in regards to how long money takes to get from one place to another, but you still have that problem of pre-funding. XRP can be used as a global liquidity source, on-demand liquidity, and fundamentally eradicate the need for pre-funding, changing in its wake the entire way that money gets sent around the world. It can act as that global liquidity pool for any forms of value to essentially transact with one another. This is huge, and if it's successful, it's an all or nothing play. It's going to be worth a hell of a lot of money, in my opinion. Let's listen to what Visa had to say at Sibos.
For Visa Direct clients, you can use stablecoins to pre-fund an account. And most people watching this probably have no idea what that means. And so really, just to give you a little bit of context, people are familiar with Visa, the retail payment industry, but we also have a global money movement platform, which supports a couple of unique use cases, such as doing payouts or doing remittance. And so the example would be, let's say you're a small business and you have customers and employees that live in maybe like 10 different countries, and you want to offer them the ability to get their payment for the day every day. And so to do that, you can use Visa Direct as a way to get them money every day. But to do that, you as an employee, as a business, you have to have local currency accounts, which means you have to send money into those accounts every day to make sure that there's enough money to pay out to your employees. And so today, to fund those accounts, you have to use fiat currency, which can take 2 or 3 days to get there, because that's just how normal cross-border payments works. And so what we've announced is the ability to use stablecoins to fund those accounts. And stablecoins, because it uses blockchain technology, it happens immediately. So you can now position money and send money around the world in real time, and then we will then say to the business, you now have enough money to go and send out to your employees.
So why does this matter for businesses moving money across borders in particular?
It really just makes liquidity much more efficient, because once again, let's say it's Friday and you want to offer payouts to your employees for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That means you need 3 days worth of money sitting in your account on Friday. But let's say it's a busy day and you have a good business, and Saturday you're starting to run out of money and you need to get money into that account. There's no way to do that today because the banks aren't open on the weekends. And so what you can now do is just send us stablecoins. We will then recognize that as valid currency so you can continue your business operations and fund the accounts immediately when you need it.
So we're a big fan of what Visa are doing, and they are absolutely innovating using crypto. The world is going to use crypto without even knowing that they're doing so. That's the way that we are moving, or the direction that we are moving towards. And it is very innovative what they're doing. But you still need to pre-fund these accounts. The innovation that they're making is in regards to the time that it takes to actually do that, meaning you can be more efficient in regards to where your capital is. You don't need to wait 3 days to pre-fund an account, but you still need to pre-fund that account and have those foreign currency reserves, those Vostro accounts. Vostro or Nostro just means sort of yours, okay, or Vostro, one of the two. And I think it's a Latin term. Where that comes from is you need to pre-fund to be able to send money around the world. It locks up liquidity in these accounts to the tune of apparently $27 trillion. If you had a bridge asset like XRP, and we're about to listen to what the Bank of International Settlements has to say about this concept just now, then you wouldn't need that. And anybody and everybody could sort of tap into this kind of watering hole to enable value transfer anywhere around the world. This is the big thing with XRP that stablecoins don't solve, that I haven't seen any other crypto project actually addressing. XRP really is the only one. And is that because they have a patent on it that we're going to show you guys in just a second? Let's listen to what the Bank of International Settlements has to say.
And there is a lot of money that is being put in terms of trying to solve these technical issues of interoperability. Now, the second one is more complicated. It has to do with liquidity. So imagine that you have a pair of currencies for which there is not a complementary demand. You need to go and search for a third-party currency in order to make this settlement actually happen. And this really complicates things. So we need to put pieces of technology that can make more efficiency this use of liquidity so that more transactions can be settled.
So the liquidity problem is still on. Yes, you're making liquidity more efficient in regards to companies' capitals in this case, because you don't need to send it 3 days in advance. You might not have that money. You can do it more instantly and be more efficient in that manner. You still need to do the pre-funding and all the expenses that are associated with that. Whereas XRP essentially is going to enable, it's, as Chris Larsen would put it, it's going to be the sort of missing piece of the global puzzle when it comes to money. And of course, how are they doing that? They're doing that on-demand liquidity, or they're doing that with using XRP as this kind of world reserve bridge asset, as the Bank of International Settlements highlight is kind of needed in regards to solving this problem. Let's listen to what Brad has to say on this. Then I'm going to show you the patent that they have. And then maybe even show you that even Gensler recognized Ripple for being this unique before going and essentially waging war on them via a lawsuit, which I believe was just there to maybe throw retail off the scent. Let's dive into this.
Give me a specific example of who's going to use it.
So one of the things we've always said is I don't think banks will be the first customers. We've talked about payment providers, and so we have run pilots out there with the MoneyGrams, Western Unions, Mercury FX, Qualix, a couple of others, and those are payment providers that have massive treasury operations. Using one random example, you have a payment provider that has hundreds of millions of dollars of negative working capital because they've taken their dollars or the pesos and they've pre-funded and they've pre-funded the account, so they go into Mexico. Once a week, let's say, they'll wire $10 million to Mexico and then debit along the way. Now, sometimes they overfund, sometimes they underfund. The ability to have real-time liquidity is transformational. The global pre-funded, what are called Nostra-Vostra relationships, it represents something on the order of magnitude $10 trillion. If we can make that more efficient and more useful, we can actually accelerate the engine of commerce kind of on a global basis.
Just like as Chris Larsen would say, you can implement the shipping container and increase global shipping by 700% in the years that followed after implementing what seems like a primitive technology to us being a shipping container, and kind of introducing that standard, globalizing or making the world more global and easy accessible in regards to that industry, implementing a technology that changed it. This is what XRP is doing. And regardless of people using cryptos, why I found that Visa thing so interesting, because they still have to pre-fund. They haven't sorted that out yet. Even Gensler recognized XRP for being unique in this sense. Let's listen to what he had to say at an MIT lecture.
Fiat to crypto, Bitcoin to Philippine peso. That is called a bridge crypto, a bridge currency. That's in fact what Ripple is trying to do with XRP. So Ripple is a company that started as a messaging, a payment messaging service to compete with SWIFT. And that messaging service, which we'll talk about more Thursday, has been adopted by many banks. More recently, in 2018, they rolled out a prototype of using a crypto token, XRP, as a bridge currency. I would say yes, it is possible.
So even Gensler recognizes what XRP is doing. And I've always wondered, why aren't there other crypto companies trying to do this? Why aren't Visa trying to come up with that liquidity pool, or some of the others? Now, could it be because Ripple Labs have a patent on they don't have a patent on cross-border remittances. That would be crazy, or cross-border payments, but they have a patent on their method of doing that. And that is to use a digital currency. This is from them. This is patent number US 109024161B1. Do subscribe to the channel, guys. One reason we really upped our game in XRP content was because we felt like there was a real lack of it out there. And we think that this project seriously deserves the time to be looked into, because I think it's going to change the world. I believe that. So network computing system implementation of on-demand liquidity for cross-medium transaction service. Abstract. A computing system can facilitate cross-medium transactions through the use of a digital currency. The computing system being the XRP ledger, by the way, can provide a guaranteed exchange rate and manage customer pools and or slippage balances in digital wallets to adjust digital currency transfer amount in order to align them with guaranteed exchange rates. This is the actual patent itself. You can see the diagrams that they have. Let's read a little bit of it, and then I'm going to love and leave you all. This is what I mean by I think people are underestimating, don't understand a lot of the sort of pushback on Ripple and XRP is, I think, due to a lack of understanding in regards to what it actually is. It goes on to say the background, foreign exchange markets. Let's zoom into this a little bit more if you guys want to read along with me. The background, foreign exchange markets determines exchange rates between value mediums, e.g. currencies. But it can extend, this is the concept of the Internet of Value, and comprises the largest market in the world, which XRP is addressing, by the way, guys. Typically, the foreign exchange market works through financial institutions that facilitate continuous trading of currencies for central banks, commercial companies, investment management firms, retail traders, and the like, and consequently establish the dynamic floating exchange rate between different currencies. In typical arrangements, a pair of financial institutions operate with different primary value mediums, e.g. the US dollar and the Mexican peso, will have a Nostro account holding a significant balance of foreign value mediums with the other institution to provide the necessary liquidity for such cross-border mediums. In this arrangement, the Nostro account is used for the ability to pay and receive the domestic currency of the counterparty institution and can be debited and credited for business transactions involving the counterparty institution in the foreign country. It goes on to say, with the advent of digital currencies and decentralized ledgers, the use of Nostro accounts may be largely eliminated, releasing the parked money therein to be deployed by the bank institution accordingly. As described herein, a computing system is provided herein that implements a cross-medium transaction service by leveraging the use of a digital currency and ledger, e.g. a decentralized distributed ledger, to replace the needs for clearinghouses and or Nostro-Vostro accounts. This cross-medium transaction system operates to provide on-demand liquidity for cross-medium exchanges such that fund settlements can occur at any time within seconds or fractions of a second as opposed to several days in certain implementations. As such, the computing system implements real-time gross settlements. They've worked with the Bank of England on this, by the way, and is not limited to banking institutions or currencies, but may rather be implemented for any exchange or of value, e.g. commodities, other digital currencies, and cross-border systems. The computing system can comprise of clients, so on and so forth. It gives an example. This is extremely interesting stuff. I'm sure many of you haven't seen this. We want to share it with you. So XRP or Ripple essentially have a patent on using a cryptocurrency as a bridge asset essentially for value. They have a patent on that. That's probably why no other project is going after this. And regardless of Swift, Visa, all these other individuals adopting crypto, they are certainly solving issues, but they aren't solving the issue that XRP is. And this is really XRP's USP, unique selling point. And I ultimately think it's an all or nothing play. In my opinion, it's going to be very successful as it's the only one solving this problem. They've worked with so many people, central banks. It would be hard to imagine that this isn't going to gain traction given just what it does and given that Ripple, thus XRP, is the only one that sort of based on this patent can do that. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.